Thank you very much. This is an awesome venue. I mean, it's not really inducive to working, but I really appreciate all of you hanging in here and listening to us. So obviously the panel should have happened after my conversation. So now we're going to talk a little bit about what have these guys talked about and where did we come from? Why is this AI happening today? The way I talk about this is that this is a tidal wave that I think a lot of people haven't really understood that it's a tidal wave. This thing is going to sweep up a lot of stuff that we took for granted, and it's going to change a lot of industries simply by its unbelievable capabilities. And I hope you appreciate the touch that I put the Athens background in there, so that effectively we know that we're in Greece talking about this. But this is obviously a worldwide phenomenon. Just to give you an idea how pervasive this stuff is. My boss, Satya, talks about this all the time, where in November 2022, ChatGPT was announced. Just in case you think this has been years ago, this is 18 months. 2022 November is when OpenAI announced ChatGPT. In January, my boss went to India, and he got presented with an application on the phone where an Indian farmer could interact with the Indian government about subsidies. And so there was a research team in India that had been working on Indian languages. They have quite a few in their country. And they took OpenAI capabilities and built this application, digitizing all of the subsidy regulations and stuff like that, and made it accessible for a farmer that has zero idea about the technology, but effectively made it possible to talk into the phone, interact with the government using this capability. 3 months afterwards. And again, this is something that's happening before. Say it this way. This has not happened at this scale before. If you're an investor in technology, all of the investment money went from God knows where they went into generative AI. Everything. Now, the word Copilot has been used a number of times. Let me show you a video of what AI can do today, not tomorrow, not yesterday, what we are shipping in product today, just as an inspiration of what can be done with this capability today. And then I go back and say, what does this mean for tourism, travel, and other spaces? And then we'll talk a little bit about what is the broader implication of how this actually works and where it's going. So let me go and see if I can play the video. You might have to click on it, because I don't know if I can. No. So let's go, try this again. You need to click on it. Nope.
Whoa.
Go back.
Straight to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop. Still the motto, yeah. Brand new pants for the auto. Oh, foot to the ground, full throttle. Big energy for the night like lotto. Y'all talk lots, never this quiet, like a Seinfeld plot. Vault full of songs, all of them bombs, something like a minefield guy. Boom. Get it, tickets running out quick. Bet it, never get it out big. Said it, never had to shout it. They said I couldn't never do it, okay, how's this? Fit a week worth of work in a minute. Machine well oiled, you know how I stay efficient. To-do list written, I do this different. Hold up, wait a minute, I ain't finished. Okay. Flows the same now. Paved the way, the snakes and fakes are chased out. Back to back to back, I changed the pace now. Had to stack the cash until the bank's out. Straight to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop.
Now, this is technology that's shipping since November last year. So a year after Copilot or ChatGPT shipped, we shipped the Microsoft 365 Copilot. All of you that haven't tried it, thank you. For those who haven't tried it, the easiest way is actually to use the mobile phone version, where there's a free personal version that you can start to try and play with to see what it can do. And then, of course, you can upgrade to more sophisticated versions. And the reason why I'm showing this video is not to promote the Microsoft Copilot. Obviously, that's something that we love to do. Is that this is something that's real today. We, Microsoft, built this application, but now you have SAP, you have ServiceNow. Everybody in the IT industry is building this kind of capability to help people with their tasks and make them run faster, cheaper, better. And one of the things that we all have to go and figure out, I don't know where Greek is on the demography scale, most countries in Europe didn't keep up with their reproduction. Very simple. We will not be able to have as many people as we had before we're all going down in production in terms of kids. And so we don't have the workers anymore. And now the governments have to think through two things. One, we can open up the floodgates for immigration and beef up our demography this way, or we have to replace the workers with technology. And AI is obviously a key part of this thing. If you look at it, nope, not one more time. When you look at what is happening right now in order to make this happen, and augment humans with technology, augmenting is the key word. This is just Microsoft's investment. If you look at the amount of money, the president of CELA, our legal environment, is Santa Claus right now. So he goes around the world and announces these investments. And these investments have three parts. The first one is always infrastructure in terms of data centers and so forth. Before this wave of investments, we announced an investment in Greece. So we are building data center capability in Greece, which will obviously include AI capability. The second thing is AI capability in terms of silicon. I think right now we are the largest customer of NVIDIA. That's why Jensen, the CEO, is very happy with Microsoft. And we are also their innovation partner. So the next generation chips are always tested and worked with in the Microsoft environments first. But look at this number. We are currently spending, not quite, but close to $1 billion, 1B, per week for the next year. And this is an investment that we are making because we believe in the power and the opportunity that AI is providing. And obviously, a lot of these investments are happening in Europe, but we're also investing in Asia, in the US, in Africa as well, Middle East. And this is something that has a lot of implications. The third element, the podium already talked about, is skilling. So every time we go into a country, there is a specific skilling program that's associated with our investments. Obviously, the latest investments have been very focused on AI, but as some of you, the panelists pointed out, cloud, data, and AI go together. And so there's also skilling on cloud computing, how that works, how you think about data engineering, data science, and those kind of capabilities, as well as AI. So it's really important to think, what does Greece have to do to think about AI from this kind of perspective? This is something that is going to be not only big, it's going to be ginormous. Just as another fun little thing, you wouldn't associate Microsoft with fusion research, right? Nuclear fusion. Well, we are. We're investing in nuclear fusion because we don't believe that the energy that we currently produce from solar, wind, and water will be sufficient to go and power the AI revolution that we envision. So we need something different that is equally sustainable and doesn't have the nasty side effects of nuclear fission. So fusion is where I think it's going to be the future, and we are investing in that. Again, we're not doing it ourselves, but we're investing in partners that are doing this. Now, when you're looking at where is this going and what you should be thinking about, currently Microsoft is very focused on two things. Every individual, so individual productivity, individual interaction and improvements, and then every function. So when you're looking at a marketing person, they will get perspective. If you're looking at a security researcher, the colleague from Accenture mentioned developers. Software development is a huge part of what's going on. But every function, or every individual, every function, and now every industry is going to be changed by AI. And if you think about it, even human-oriented business like hotels and so forth will benefit from AI simply by providing capabilities that a guest can interact in their room with what's going on and doing it intelligently and doing it human-oriented. Because the thing that you will see as part of this conversation is that a lot of these capabilities we had before, they were just very, very technology-driven. And a lot of people don't like to interact with technology for technology's sake. What they now see with Gen AI is that it's becoming human. We use language. We don't use computer screens anymore. We just talk to the thing. And that makes a very big difference. When you're looking at travel, for example, you can think about operational benefits. So you can always look at how do I make things that I do today cheaper and faster. You can also shift to a customer experience that's very different. Again, the colleague, I don't know who was it on the panel, mentioned that you have a human agent. Human agents have hangovers, they are tired, they might be in a bad mood, and they forget stuff. And they hallucinate as well, meaning making up stuff because they don't know the answer. They don't want to anger anybody, so they want to please somebody, so they make stuff up. And AI generally doesn't get a hangover, it doesn't get tired, it doesn't get mad. It effectively just is, very Zen-like. And so thinking through how you can use that to really think through how the personal experience, because they can become very personalized. If you go back to the Outlook Copilot, you can actually ask Outlook to write emails on your behalf using your style. So the way you write email, the system learns how to do that and effectively copies you very, very perfectly. It's to a degree scary, but obviously you are still in control of what emails get sent to whom and what content there is. And stuff like that. I'm not going to read the numbers. You can read the numbers yourself. But at the end of the day, envision what might be possible, and it can be done. And it's a combination of all sorts of AI, because obviously the industry has been focusing on Gen AI a lot, but as the government representative already talked about, machine learning is still a very big part. Statistics is something that still are super relevant. And if the universities focus on statistics, data science, that's a very, very good thing, especially or even in the age of generative AI. Here are some examples of conversational bots that are running in production today on websites that are not small, that are not just tiny use cases, but effectively helping you with your trips, with your interactions with the airlines in this case. And you can imagine scenarios where if you go into the travel industry, let me take an example of shopping. Some of you will be very excited shoppers like me, are not that excited, but fair enough. There's a Spanish high-end shopping environment called Corte de Inglés, and those guys have been building a personal shopper since quite some time, and they are now putting it out, and the experience is effectively a simple chatbot, and you start to say, hey, I need to go to a wedding. The theme is, I don't know, Guns N' Roses or whatever. And now I need some clothing for this stuff. And let's assume the chatbot knows you a little bit because you have shopped before. So all of a sudden, the system will actually start to interact with you. How does this work? And it shows you pictures of you in specific dresses or in specific environments. Then you say, oh, I like this dress. And then it doesn't go and make you search from scratch again because it now knows the event. It knows you, and it knows the dress you have chosen. So it says, okay, what about shoes? And it will give you the right shoes. Then what about accessories? It will give you the right accessories. Then you say, oh, my husband is coming too, so he needs some stuff too. And the system will effectively learn and do this. So normally you would do this with a human being when you go into a shop. Now you can do it with a system, and the system effectively will do the interaction. Now can you imagine doing this for travel? When you're interacting with an agent that says, okay, which of these wonderful hotels is the right thing for me? I have a budget of X. I'm looking for this kind of experience. And the system will go based upon, let's say it knows you a little bit, based upon what you asked and based upon what it knows, and responds back with a very customized proposal that is about you and the capabilities that are out here. So this is something to think about when you read these things. This is all about, making things faster, cheaper, but at the same time, making them personal. It's about you, and not about a generic person that is being asked to respond. So very much like what we as humans do is something that the systems do now consistently. Now, how does this work? Because I said we will talk a little bit about technology. So the way it works and the way you have to think about this is two things. One, we're moving to a space where the user interface, the way we interact with digital technology, is becoming language, humans. And one of the things that's really important is that language is not just words. Images are a very, very big part of communication and the way we interact with each other. There's this wonderful saying that says, an image is worth 1,000 words. And now you can start to say, I can feed the system images. And the image will be described, understood, and can be processed. The next stage, which is definitely coming, is video as input, where you can feed the system video, and the system will understand what it means and effectively act on it. And this is also going to change the way we think about computers. Because a lot of people are still intimidated by computers. Not our kids. If you have kids, you will see them using your iPhone or Android phone or whatever it is, and they will do this with dizzying speed. They don't know necessarily how it works, but they know how to operate this thing. But if you go into the senior population, they really are afraid. Now, with this kind of technology, they don't have to be anymore because they can talk to it. And they are used to talking, and therefore it becomes universal. People from this age all the way to the end. My prediction is that in 10 years, 5 years, I don't know, the classic user interface, including websites, most likely will be gone. Because the system will be replaced by just, okay, let's talk to the thing. The second thing to think about is what we now have in this generative AI capability specifically. We have what's called a reasoning engine. The reasoning engine simply says, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to give you a question, an ask, a task, whatever it might be. And the system reasons over your ask very much like we do. When we have a conversation, it effectively says, okay, you asked me this based upon my knowledge, based upon what I understand. I will go reason over this and respond. It is not pre-programmed, is really the point. So when you're thinking about changes that are happening, the biggest change is that computers don't need to be programmed in them anymore. Obviously, we're a little bit away from that, but that's where we are going. Where the system just learns based upon what you are talking to it, what data you give it, and it will be able to reason and react to it. Again, you don't get programmed in one evening. You, as a human being, learn first languages, communication. Then you learn skills, etc., etc. The same is happening with AI. And that's really the big breakthrough here, that now AI, over time, for example, will be able to say, I know what you're trying to do. Let me go and figure out how to get the computer to do what you want it to do. We'll talk a little bit about that more at the end. Now, the challenge for all of us is also not only opportunity, but also something of an obligation. When you start to see people like Air India introducing intelligent applications on their website, or let's say my one and only friends where I stayed for the last 2 nights, thank you very much, it was awesome. They start to put websites together that have personal interaction. It's also an obligation for everybody else to raise their capability and provide that stuff. So thinking through how you do that is going to be important. And as we said before, data is critical. And AI models are critical. Good news is there's lots of them to choose from. And then building applications is important. If you are looking at investments, for me, for example, building another large language model, which is a lot what people do, is a losing proposition. There's a lot of money involved, don't do it. But what's really important is building applications in science, in tourism, in travel, and so forth, that use this stuff to really change the way you think about user interactions, applications that are possible, and so forth. For me, that is going to be the big change that I think we can and should drive together. Now, we have already talked a little bit about this, but one of the things that we as Microsoft are super worried about is that AI goes the wrong direction. We, plus OpenAI, plus a bunch of other folks, wrote an open letter to Joe Biden and effectively asked him to work with us on regulating AI because we believe it's an existential threat to humanity. Now, here I am talking about AI and how awesome it is, and in the same sentence I'm telling you that it's a potentially existential threat to humanity. It is. Not today, but when you look, I don't know if it's 5 years, 10 years, the system will be as or more intelligent than we are. And I'm sure all of you have seen Terminator and other fun little movies where AI takes over and becomes naughty. That is something that we don't want. So all of us as community, governments, industry, need to come together and say, what do we want AI to be? And we need to really do this together because no country, no community can solve it by itself. And we need to work together. Again, the UK is doing some work there and so forth. Where are we with this stuff? The US is actually working on a lot of stuff, but it's very patchworky. The EU doesn't do a lot of digital work, compared to the rest of the world, but it's awesome at regulation. GDPR is the regulation for privacy on the world, period. Everybody is using it with variants, meaning people are using GDPR, but they kind of tweak it a little bit. You go to Australia, you go to Japan, it's all the same. Now the EU has done two things. The Data Act, which is something that I hope all of you understand what that means and what your obligations are. And now they've just signed off the AI Act. And this is something where I would say a lot of innovation can be done in regulation. And while a lot of people fear regulation, regulation can be awesome because if it's done in the right spirit, meaning we want to guide you and guide the right direction, but we don't want to constrain you. And that's, I think, the spirit that we have to think through for regulation. Something that I believe we need to all work together and be thoughtful and voiceful about, meaning loud. We need regulation and we want regulation, but not crazy regulation, positive regulation. That's something to think about. Now, obviously, this is not something we wait for, saying, okay, governments, please tell us what to do. We effectively, as an industry and as Microsoft, have been working on this thing called responsible AI for a long, long time. When we started working at large-scale machine learning and AI systems, 10, 15 years ago, we started to put responsible AI together. Again, you can read the principles here. Good news is all of this kind of principles is now available as technology. So you can buy effectively capabilities that help you on your way to responsible AI. One ask I have of every company that starts to use AI is have a charter that outlines what are you going to do with AI, what's your vision for AI, and also implicitly what you're not going to do with AI. Because obviously we don't want Skynet, we don't want the Terminators, so we need to make sure that every company that does use AI has a very clear view. Here's what our vision for AI is. Here's why we are doing it. Microsoft's vision for AI is very simple. We are here to help humanity do more and do it better. We are not here to replace humanity with AI. That's not our job. Our job is to help human creativity, help human potential achieve even more using AI as a supporting actor. Very, very simple, but obviously not as easy to implement. Now, where's this going? Where are we driving this capability? So the next generation will effectively add two components to AI that are critical for long-term interesting scenarios. The first one is planning. Human beings are awesome at taking a task or a request, thinking about it, and then chopping it up to say, okay, I need to do this, this, and this, or I need to ask Fred, I need to ask, Kostas is a good name for Greek people I hear, or Nikos, or something like that, George as well. And so effectively, I can parcel out work, and that's something that AI systems don't do today, but they are starting to learn how to plan. They are starting to learn how to also interact with other AI entities, call them agents. So if you are in the business of building AI scenarios in your company, think about Copilots as human-oriented artifacts, meaning you help your person, whoever it is, and then think of agents as potentially supporting functions that you can react with and saying, hey, I have a task for you. Go and build this for me. And this is something that the AI research community is working very heavily on. And the last one is memory. So today, generally speaking, large language models have the attention span of maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour. But what if you really want to build the next generation of AI? You want to say, I have a personal assistant that is with me when I get born all the way when I die. And this system remembers everything I do and provides me not only reactive guidance, which is what happens today, but also proactive guidance. It can act on my behalf. So I heard the land scanning act and AI work. What if I'm interested in buying stuff? So I tell my AI agent, hey, if you see a property with these properties and in this price range, go make a bid. Those are some of the things that are being worked on right now. Obviously not there yet, but that's something that's coming. And it's really based upon your guidance and guardrails, but it's also understanding who you are, what your risk profile is, and other things. And in order to do that, it needs memory. Again, today, very limited, but the system is working on where it's going and how we drive this. So I'm going to finish with this picture. Some of you might have seen this movie called Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. And this is our friend Scotty, the engineer, going into a 1980s engineering office in San Francisco, and effectively going in there and saying, "Hey, computer." Everybody looks at him like he's a nutcase. And so they point to the Apple computer at the desk. And so you see him grabbing the mouse and starting to talk into it, "Hey, computer." And then, of course, he had to use the keyboard, fully disgusted, and so forth. The reason why I'm bringing this up is we are moving into a world of what I call intent-based interactions, where you effectively don't have to understand the system anymore, like system configuration, do this, do that, 25,000 steps to get something done. You simply say, "Hey, I would like you to turn on the dark background." All of you should have dark background because it's 20% more energy efficient than a white background. And today you need to go into do this, go there. I simply tell the computer, "Turn on dark background. Thank you very much." And the system will figure out what to do. This is obviously a trivial example, but think about what you can do once you can say, "Hey, computer, do these 5 things for me," and then you turn around, move on to the next thing, and the computer takes care of it. That's really what's happening right now. That's why these things are called universal user interface, because language is our user interface. That we have a couple more, like expression on body language, faces, and stuff like that. That's something the computers are learning right now. They learn how to see, they learn how to hear, and they will soon react also to body language and other things when they're interacting with us. It's pretty interesting what's happening there. Then you have a reasoning engine where the system reasons over what you ask it to do, and based upon its programming, it will say, "I reject the request," or will support it. And then it will plan of how to execute your request and memorize it the next time you show up. It will say, "Hey, do we do this again? Or do you want to do something different?" And that's really why this picture is so cool, because Scotty came into this office and expected the computer to exactly do these 4 things. "Hey, computer, do this for me, and remember how to do it. And I don't need to know that I need to start application A to get this job done. Why do I need to know this?" Today we do because systems are programmed this way. Tomorrow we will turn this around and ask the system to do the system thing and not the human to do the system things. With that, I really appreciate you spending the time and listening despite the awesome weather. And I hope I shared a little bit of what's going on in the world of AI and how to think about this, not just in terms of application ABC today, but in the broader scope of what's going on, from an investment all the way to Scotty and "Hey, computer." Thank you.